Hello and welcome to Story Time. Today's story is the story of how I almost chopped down my own tree in my front yard by accident. So if you can see these pictures and video of the tree, this is out in the front strip, the strip that lines the street in front of my house. And I have a tree planted there. It's a crepe myrtle tree that we planted probably 5 years ago. It was small at the time, but it's grown and gotten really big. And I put this border around it, these bricks, kind of to make a ring around the bottom of it. Which I think looks nice. You can see in the photo, looks pretty nice. But about 6 months ago, I noticed that one of the bricks was a little askew. It was kind of getting pushed off to the side. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just push it back or whatever. And thought it was going to be a 2-minute job. Just push it back. I glued them all together, but it doesn't really need to be glued. It just needs together. So I tried pushing it back, and there's a root in the way. And I thought, darn, there's a root here. So, of course, I'm like, if I just cut that little piece off, then I could put that brick right back where it's supposed to go. And so then I went and got a saw and gloves and a Sawzall, and I started getting more and more tools, and I started cutting that one. And then I realized that the roots were kind of pushing all of the bricks in that ring out. I couldn't really fit the bottom one in or the top one. And so I was cutting and had the big Sawzall blade about this. I'll show you a picture of it, about that long with the full-size Sawzall, as well as, all kinds of cutting tools and clippers. And I was cutting, and I thought, well, if I could just sort of cut the root ball all the way around, and then I could put my bricks back where they're supposed to go, kind of like in a tight circle. Because originally, when the tree was small, it had a little trunk like this big around. And then, but now it has like this big root ball, and it's pushing out all of my bricks. So I thought, well, I'll just cut all the way around it. And I was cutting down farther and deeper and digging out and putting the bricks all around. And I was trying to push the bricks together to make a ring, and the bricks wouldn't go in. And so I kept cutting. I kept like shaving more of the root ball off to get it smaller and smaller and smaller. And finally I said, this is stupid. Why don't I just buy a couple more bricks, and I'll put a couple layers there to extend it out to make a bigger circle. I went to Home Depot, a few dollars. It was really easy, and I did that. So I put the bricks around in a circle, and I put the gravel and the bark back the way it's supposed to go. It looked great. I thought it was super. Then that night, I remember I was laying in bed, and I was like, man, I really cut a lot. I cut a lot of the roots, like all the way around the whole tree, and some of the bigger roots. And I was like, I really cut a lot of those out. I hope it's going to be okay. And I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fine. So then we had sort of a Santa Ana that came the next day. And I walk outside, to get in the car. I don't know what I was doing, taking out the trash or something. And I was like, I did like a triple check, a triple look. I didn't get any pictures of it, but the tree was at like a 45-degree angle. It had just basically, the wind had blown in and went, and it was about a 45-degree angle. All right, so I come out the next morning. It's at a 45-degree angle. I'm like, oh my God, I had all this stuff planned to do that day. I was going to do all kinds of things. All plans are off. So it may not look like it, but it's a pretty big tree. I mean, the trunk is pretty beefy, and it's probably 25 feet tall. So obviously I go over there and I try to push it, and it's like, and I can't really push it. It's really, really on there, really, really on there good. And so I'm like trying to figure out what to do. Can I dig out like the one side of it and try to put it up? And so that's what I did, is I took out some of the bricks and I dug out the high side, because if it goes like this and then that falls in there. So if I could clear that out and then put it back up. And then my neighbor John comes by. He lives a couple doors down, and he dropped everything, started helping me. What a trooper, because he saw that I was like in the middle of a stupid project. Like, I don't know what I did. I almost chopped down my tree. We got to save it. So we were trying to save it. So I came up with this idea of, I had a couple of pieces of wood and I made sort of a ladder type looking thing. And then I put it, those legs go in the ground more than a foot, maybe about 1.5 feet, the legs that go in there. And then what I did is I got the ratchet straps and I put some other stakes in the ground and I hooked it to the ratchet strap and I'm strapping it, and then I got another ratchet strap over there and it's coming up a little bit, and every time it comes up I can put that little ladder piece a little bit, and then pretty soon John is hanging off the one end of the tree, the high end of the tree, to try to get it to come over more. And I forget what else did we do. We thought of like backing the car up and hooking it to the car, but in the end we just kept pulling on it with the ratchet straps, and it would go a little bit and then I'd put down the ladder, a little bit, put down the ladder, and he's hanging over there. Such a trooper. He's such a great neighbor to help me out to do that. And eventually we got it vertical, and then I put a couple of lag bolts in there, and I figured that's it, let's just leave it there. So since then we've had a bunch of storms and Santa Anas and all kinds of things, and it hasn't budged one bit. We really did a good job. And I went over there a few minutes ago and I was trying to say, how secure is this thing? It doesn't budge. It doesn't budge a bit. So we've had a lot of rain this winter. I know the ground is really wet and soaked and soft, so I don't want to take off the brace now. But what I want to do is wait till like the end of summer, August, September, October maybe even, when I know everything's really dried out, and then I'm going to remove that brace, and I think it should be okay. I'm not going to throw away the brace, but I will remove it and keep it in case I have to put it back in. But I think it's taken root, literally the roots I think have grown. So anyway, that is the story how I almost chopped down my own tree in my front yard. I have my neighbor John to thank to come to my rescue, and he helped out to make that thing a success. So if you see that in my front yard, which a lot of people walk by and they're like, what's he got going on here? Why is it this thing? Some kids were climbing on it. They thought it was a jungle gym. They thought, oh, this is a cool ladder. We'll climb on it like a jungle gym. But it puzzles a lot of people as to exactly what I was doing. But what I was doing is fixing one of my dumb mistakes. And I think it came out okay. So anyway, thanks for watching Storytime, and we'll see you next time. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.